Hello heathens, welcome back. Thank you so much for joining me today. So today I am dressed in my my Vivienne Westwood-esque heart dress. I have my heart sunglasses on and my heart necklace, and do you sense a theme? I mean, am I being a little obvious? Is there a theme? There is a theme. There is a theme. So it is apparently the month of love. Yes, it's love month. Now, I personally am not a light and fluffy rom-com, happy, cheery, happily ever after kind of girl when it comes to the romance, but I like dark romance. I like my romance messed up. I like it supernatural. I love a demon. A bad boy, a shadow daddy. Yeah, that's my jam. So I thought I would recommend some dark romance, romantasy books, but I'd kind of rate them from sort of dusk, so a little bit of the dark, to full midnight. Okay, so you know, you've got your scale of things that are potentially on the darker side, but on the lighter dark side, you know. Anyway, moving on. So let me start with something that I think has a touch, a hint, a smidge of dark, but it isn't dark. And I just love these books, and they also go with my dress, so I've got to recommend them. So this is Miss Stephanie Garber's A Curse for True Love series. So I think that's the first one, or is that the first one? And then we've got, well, whatever, I mean, look how nice they go. So this series is actually kind of a spin-off series on the other series that is not full dark, but I love, and that is the Caraval series. So again, we have Caraval, Legendary, and Finale. Now, I do have to say that I actually personally prefer Caraval. And again, I think Caraval is more fantasy, is very romantic, is perfect for the season, but also has that kind of edge of darkness where there really are stakes. There's actually life or death stakes in a lot of Caraval. And the romances are kind of complicated, kind of messed up, and not super fluffy. And I love the fact that there is like a game and a tournament element, particularly in the first one. And then in the kind of second and third book, we have the introduction of the fates, and really these kind of complicated relationships between our main characters, between Tella and my lovely legend. So it really has kind of dark elements, but it's not dark. Then you have A Curse for True Love, and this is, you don't have to read Caraval. You can get the storyline in this, but because our main character Jax, who is the King of Hearts, so he's one of the fates, shows up in the first series, I would read, and just because I adore Caraval, I would still read Caraval first before reading this, but you don't have to if you want to dive straight in. So this one, I would say, is more romantic. It is very much about the love story between our main character and our King of Hearts, Prince of Hearts. This one also, I would say it's very, very light on the dark scale, because Jax is a complicated character, because if he kisses anyone that isn't his true love, she dies. Yeah. So that has an element of the dark to it, and there's definitely life or death stakes here. There's a great kind of almost like adventure storyline that runs through this, but our main character, I will say, probably because the reason I probably like this one a little bit less than Caraval, and when I say a little bit less, I still love them both, is that our little fox, so Evangeline, our main character here, she very much, she believes in true love, right? She loves love, she believes in it, but she can be a little naive. She can be a little stupid sometimes. So that's the only reason I prefer, my favorite character is Tella. If you've read Caraval, Donatella, she's feisty, she's everything I love in a character. But this is very beautiful, and like I say, if you want something that's got a little bit of darkness to it, but is still going to be sweet and romantic and wonderful, and is going to look amazing with whatever Valentine's outfit you choose, I would absolutely recommend this trilogy. It's perfect for this time of year, particularly if you're into kind of the more romantic side of it. Then, if you're saying to me, that's nice, but I want a darker, you promised me dark, and you don't want any kind of supernatural leanings in your dark, then I'm going to recommend this stack of books. Now, again, this one is, I've just talked about this, so I won't talk about this too much, but this is The Favourites by Lane Fargo. This is also brand new. And I would say, again, this is very light on the dark scale, but the relationship in this is described as Wuthering Heights meets Daisy Jones and the Six. And I completely agree. So you have an ice dancing pair, and you follow them pretty much through from childhood through to, like, you know, very much adulthood, where they have two passions, each other and winning a gold medal at the Olympics and making it to the Olympics. And you kind of enter this sort of very competitive, messed up world of ice skating, which is fabulous to read about. It's so good. I had to remind myself that these weren't real people, that the people they mentioned, that the Olympic medals and all of that, these weren't real people. I found myself Googling it. Yeah, it was convincing, because you've got like interview style in this as well, and then narrative story. But their relationship is so codependent. It is both unhealthy and completely healthy at the same time. You know, they destroy each other, they put each other back together, and for me that has that kind of element of a dark romance while not going there, you know what I mean? And also this one and the two previous series, the Stephanie Garber series, they are very light on spice. These are very much fade to black scenes, so it's like they will go into a room next chapter, you know, so you're not going to get explicit spice in those books. So again, if that's something that you don't want in your books, and you can kind of see that there, you don't want in your books, then those are perfect. Then, if you're saying to me, that's great, but I want some weird girl dark romance, I want spice, and I want it weird, baby. May I recommend this one? So this is a book I recently read, and I am not kidding. I have had this on my shelves for years, literal years. This is Animals Eat Each Other by Elle Nash. I loved the cover. I loved the name, like the title. It's a great book. And this is like weird girl lit fic about a girl who's sort of kind of meandering in life, going nowhere. I think she's like in her very early 20s. She kind of struggles with relationships. She keeps trying to sleep with her boss. Weird. I think she works at like a record store, something like that. Anyway, and then she meets this couple. And the man in this couple is described as a tattoo artist and a Satanist. And his wife has just had a baby. They are very young. And she's kind of craving attention and affection. And she becomes the third wheel in their little throuple. And they play all sorts of sexy time games. I still don't know how I feel about this one. It's short, so I would say give it a go if you think any of that sounds interesting. It is very strange. There's also this kind of strange relationship between our main character and her best friend, where when they get drunk, things happen. And it kind of has this underlying message of looking for acceptance, looking for love, but perhaps looking for it in all the wrong, dark and unhealthy places. Yeah, my kind of romance. Then if you're saying to me, okay, that's just a little too weird, don't want lit fic, don't want weird girl lit fic, you just want dark romance, but without any supernatural leanings, may I recommend, this is Hooked by Emily McIntyre, and this is Bloom by Delilah S. Dawson. So let's start with Hooked. Again, I've recently just read Hooked. I have a whole stack of Emily McIntyre books. I didn't even realize I had them. This is so bad. I'm going to do a video about my physical TBR. You will actually gag when you know how many books I have. Moving on. So I'm trying to get through all of my physical TBR books, and I have a load of these Emily McIntyre books. I think I got them at The Works in like a pack. If you're in the UK, you know The Works does that. But anyway, this one was described as kind of like a reimagining of Peter Pan. What I will say, no supernatural anything in here, and also that is very tenuous. The link to Peter Pan is the fact that our main character James, his nickname is Hook, because he is basically, this is a kind of like, I would say like a mafia romance. So he's basically like an enforcer, and his favorite method of is his hook-shaped knife. Also, our main female character, Wendy Darling, and he calls her Wendy Darling a lot, and her father is Peter. So that's kind of, it's a very tenuous link, I would say at best. So don't go into this thinking this is anything to do with Peter Pan at all. This is obviously set in the real world. Like I said, it is a mafia romance. And basically Hook is trying to get revenge on Peter, not James, his name is James. Hook is trying to get revenge on Peter. Peter is a very prominent businessman, but of course he has some shady dealings. And in order to get revenge, we found out why, I won't tell you. In order to get revenge, he sees Wendy one night in his nightclub, and he thinks, this is a great way to get revenge. I will corrupt. He's very innocent and sweet and Virginia daughter, and I'll get back at him for what he did to me. But as this is a dark romance, James may like Wendy a little more than he thinks he will. And also, again, very spicy times. Quite messed up. It's a good time. I enjoyed this. I will say that who the kind of bad guy is, I saw that coming a mile away. But then I think that in this kind of book, that's really not, it's not trying to be the most incredible mystery thriller book ever. It's just a fun, smutty, dark romance. And I recommend it. I'm definitely going to read more Emily McIntyre books. Then this one, if you want messed up, unhealthy relationship, and you want it sapphic, and you want it quite short, Delilah S. Dawson's Bloom. This, again, has been sitting on my shelves for ages, and I've recently gotten to it, and I'm so glad I did. It is about a girl who moves into this, like, town. She's quite lonely, but one day she's wandering the farmer's market there, and she comes across another woman selling these incredible cupcakes. Now, they sound incredible, like the bacon maple, oh, I don't know. Anyway, so she tries her cupcakes, and she quite likes her cupcakes. There's a lot she likes about this girl. So they kind of strike up what in the beginning you think is a really sweet sort of relationship. But as this is dark romance, we know the relationship will not stay sweet. There is a twist. Obviously, very short book, can't give any more of the plot away. But just know, I love Delilah S. Dawson's writing. I've read a few of her books. I've got some more. And it is fun. It goes there. And it goes in a place you're like, what? But yeah, I loved it. Like I said, I don't want to say too much of this plot because it's just really, like, if I say any more, I'm gonna kind of give it away. But I hugely recommend. So if you want kind of a dark sapphic romance, that one's perfect. Then let's go to let's go to a bit of the fae. So now we're kind of moving into a more darker realm. So I've got a bunch of fae romance that are not ACOTAR. Of course, read ACOTAR, it's fabulous. But these are all kind of fae-inspired romance, but not. So I would say, let me start with this one. This is the least kind of smutty, and then we'll work our way across. So this is Fortuna Sworn by KJ Sutton. Now, this is the first book in the series, and this is about a girl who, she is a nightmare, which is very cool. I've never had a character who is a nightmare. And essentially what she can do, her power, is she draws out your worst fears in you, and she kind of like makes you see them. So if you're like, your worst fear is spiders, if that was my worst fear, I would be looking around the room and the room would be crawling in spiders, right? And that terrifies people so much. Like if they're trying to attack her or something, they completely forget about that and they're just worried about the spiders, okay? And then she is, but in this world, you've got the humans and that she's trying to stay hidden amongst the humans. But what they do is they capture any sort of magical fae folk and they sell them at like almost like these human slave trade markets. And one night she's captured, she's taken to this market, and then somebody helps her get free, and it's a fae man. And he then comes to her and says, I want you to marry me. And she's like, what? And it turns out her brother has been missing and she's trying to find her brother. And he says to her, I know where your brother is. He is in the Unseelie Court. And if you marry me and come with me to the Unseelie Court, I will help you get your brother back. So it's kind of forced proximity, forced marriage. I will say that is not a trope that I'm hugely fond of, and also because there's no real kind of build up to the relationship, it was really hard for me to get invested in the relationship. I think people are going to absolutely love this. I think it's one of those a series that I know a lot of people do love, and I think that's why I'm kind of recommending it, because I think it will be for someone. They go down to the Unseelie Court. I love that element. It's really cool. But what I struggled with this one was I couldn't get invested in the relationship. Coleth, who is the fae prince, he's supposed to be all powerful, but when people start doing bad stuff to her in the Unseelie Court, he doesn't protect her and he doesn't do anything. He just lets them get away with it. And now I love a shadow daddy. I love a man who's like, you touch her, you are a goner. I will burn the world down for you. And you'll see that with my other recommendations. So he's just a little bit of a limp for my taste, but this is more slower. Like I said, this is not quite as I mean, there's definitely dark elements in here, but I do think it has its good points. It's just not necessarily for me. It doesn't go there enough for me. But what is for me, is I'm going to recommend the OG Fairy series. So it's not ACOTAR. It's not. This is the Mary Gentry series. So this is the OG Olga Hamilton. She's also written Anita Blake, Vampire Hunter, which is, as the name suggests, about Anita Blake, who is a vampire hunter, and it's vampire romance if you want that. I've just really reread Guilty Pleasures, the first book. I'm rereading the entire series this year. It is magnificent. There's like 279 books, so you can really indulge. But this one, I've just dropped something, excuse me. This one is about the Fae. So in this series, this is A Kiss of Shadows, which again, I'm going to be rereading this entire series and do a whole vlog on it. But the premise is you've got Mary Gentry, who she's working as a private investigator in the human world, but she is a Fae princess, but she's kind of absconded from the Unseelie court. She doesn't want anything to do with them. And in the beginning, she's kind of dragged back into the Unseelie court. And again, she is supposed to marry and find a mate and produce heirs. And this is very much why choose. There are various males in this that she gets with. They are all fabulous. The Killing Frost, Darkness, Reese. I mean, some of my favorites. Mistral. This just, to me, this is whenever someone says OG, Fae, smutty, dark romance, this is the series. If you have not read this, like I said, I will do a whole video, but please, if you like that kind of thing. And it's fun because you've got like in the investigative thing, like more paranormal romance element of this. But then we also go down to the fairy, to like the Unseelie court, and like the descriptions of all the different men and their different powers and all the different people. It's the poor politics. I cannot recommend that series enough. Now, if you say to me, that's all good and well, but I wanted a bit more unhinged. Oh my god, one for you. This is How Does It Feel? So How Does It Feel by, how do I say this? Janae O'Reilly. This, unhinged. This is so unhinged. So this is about a girl who is a kind of a butterfly specialist. I think there's a name for it, but I can't think of it right now. And one day she's hunting this moth actually. I think she's actually hunting a special moth. And she steps into a ring of mushrooms and she falls down into the Unseelie court, where she's promptly picked up by the guards of the Unseelie prince, who say she is there to assassinate the prince and they will torture and kill her. Yeah. She gets tortured in the most creative and weird ways. There is a tree demon scene in this. Haunts my nightmares. This is so unhinged. But beware, it is so unhinged, but it is the funnest thing ever. The ending of this, I did not see that coming. And like quite often you see things coming, right? I cannot wait to read the second book. There is a second book in the series. I have to get it. I have to read it. But this is unhinged, Fae, dark romance. And then if you say to me, but Jo, I want something that's a bit more fairy tale-esque. I like the dark. I like the spice. I like the unhinged, but I want fairy tales. These two. So I have actually read Mountains Made of Glass, and this is by Scarlett Sinclair. So anybody that's read any Scarlett Sinclair probably knows she's good with spice. So that's in here. But also this is kind of, these are actually called a fairy tale retelling. And I've got two. So this is on my TBR for the month. This is Apples Dipped in Gold. It's the other one I have. I think there's only two out at this point. But it's about these, I think each one is going to be about one of the brothers. So you have these like 6 or 7 Fae princes. And in the first one, we have our main girl. She is in this village that's kind of cursed. And she's seen as a cursed girl. And they say to her, you've got to, the village, there's a toad in the village well. I can't say that. Village well. And this toad is magical and he's causing us not to have any water. So you've got to go in and get rid of the toad. And she does. She kills the toad. Turns out he's one of the Fae princes. And he's like 6 or 7 brothers come to her and say, you will be punished for this. We are going to send you to the worst of our brothers. You are going to have to live with him for like 6 years. And endure him, and off you go. Good luck. So it's slightly Beauty and the Beast-esque as well, I would say. That's kind of what I'm getting from it. So it's captor, captive, of very much enemies to lovers, totally unhinged. There's so many great, like, magical creatures in this as well. And these are really short. And I think it packed a lot in. It packed that kind of dark romance element in. It packed the spice in. It packed quite a fun storyline in. I love it. And I think the idea is that each one of the books is going to be about one of the other brothers. So if you like that fairy tale element, but you want to dark, I hugely recommend those books. Then you're saying to me, but Jo, that's not enough. I want more. I want it darker. So do you like demons? Do you like angels and demons? Do you like ghosts? Let me recommend, again, this is light to dark. So this is one of my favorite classics, and I think this one gets overlooked so much. This is Gaston Leroux's The Phantom of the Opera. So Gaston Leroux wrote this in like 18 something. When was this originally published? I will have a look. But this is, I think everybody knows the actual opera or the play, and Andrew Lloyd Webber. I can't see when it was, but 1911. But this is the original book, so this is the original story. And I would say for a classic, this is incredibly readable. It is really a dark, twisted romance. So you've got this opera singer, and she has this, what she calls the angel of music, kind of guiding her and helping her perform. But he has this sort of hold over her. And it's very much like no one else can have you. And, you know, he drags her underneath the opera house into his kind of lair. That is also described when she goes down under the opera house with him. And the description is of where his kind of like bed is she says it is these red drapes with a coffin underneath it. And that just screamed vampire to me. I'm sorry. But, you know, he's kind of haunting. He's seen as the ghost of the opera. He's seen as the ghost of music. This is very dark. This is very haunting. This is very, like, for 1911, to me, this is one of the original, I mean, obviously you've got Dracula, but I don't really think Dracula has much romance in it at all. The original, a lot of the retellings do. But if you actually want the original dark romance classic, obviously you've got Wuthering Heights and those kind of books as well. But like going way back, Phantom. And this is supernatural, right? In nature. This is very good. This is very, very good. So if you want a classic, but then if you say, no, the classics are not for me. I want something that is gonna just get me going. And I want a hot, sexy demon. May I recommend Miss Harley LaRue? Oh, yes. So I read her Soul to Take this year, and I'm kicking myself for waiting so long to read this. 6-star, loved it. This is so my jam. Leon can come and take my soul, drag me to hell anytime, because that man, whew, hello. So he is the exact opposite of my problem with the guy in Fortuna Sworn, is that this is very much touch her and you die. Touch her and you are gone. I will burn you. And I love that in my men. He's not a good boy by any stretch of the imagination. The spice in this book, hello. There's a graveyard scene. Yeah. These books get me all hot and bothered when I read them. Good times. And it is about a girl. So Raylan, she is she's studying. She comes to this town where she grew up in to go to the university there, but she's also a kind of a YouTuber that does ghost hunting on the side, but like she knows ghosts are not real. She thinks ghosts are not real. And then by accident, she gets her hands on this sort of summoning spell, and she ends up actually summoning Leon. Now, there's also this kind of conspiracy in this town where you have a bunch of really rich people and they have this cult, and Leon is actually in service to these people, and they are sacrificing people for their cult. Ray is on their hit list. Leon is meant to procure Ray for the cult so they can sacrifice her. However, Leon may develop some complicated feelings for Ray. And it is their love story, and it is hot, baby. I absolutely adored this. So, this is the second book. This is a trilogy, and this is her soul for revenge. Now, we meet, so these are kind of interconnected, but we meet our main characters, Juniper and Zane, I think his name is. Yeah, Juniper and Zane in this book here. So Ray is not the first person that they tried to kind of sacrifice for this cult. Juniper was. And Juniper has now teamed up with Zane, who is also a demon. And he and her are seeking revenge. And this is their story. So I cannot wait to read Juniper and Zane's point of view, because we get a bit of them in this, and I really, really love them in this book. So I love that. And you'll see there's a few series like this where I love this kind of interconnected play. Love it. So this is on my TBR for the month. And then also on my TBR for the month is a brand new release. And this is Cruel is the Light. I should probably have put this first because this is the least spicy of all of them, because this is actually a YA novel. But if you like the idea of a love story that features kind of angels and demons and that kind of thing, this, I believe, is it's tagged as a exorcist falls in love with a demon. And it's all based around this kind of fictional Vatican sort of war between these demons and our kind of exorcists and our fighting legion that come out of the Vatican, and kind of that good and evil battle. And then these two people fall in love, and then how does that work? Because yes, exorcists in love with a demon. So this is not spicy as far as I know at all, because it is a YA novel, but it is absolutely beautiful. I mean, look at that. It's one of the prettiest books that I've gotten my hands on in a long time, and this was on pre-order, so I'm really hoping that this is going to be good. So that's on my to-read list for the month. Now, if you're saying to me that's all good and well, but let's go darker. Let's really let our freak flag fly. May I recommend a fabulous indie author in the form of Miss Karina Halley. So I have read Blood Orange, I have read Grave Matter, and on my TBR for this month is Black Sunshine. Black Sunshine is a vampire novel, and this one, we actually meet two of the characters in this one in Blood Orange. So I feel like I've probably read them the wrong way around. So both of these books are actually parts of duologies. So this is the Dracula duet, and I don't know what the name of this one is, but I believe there's a second one in this as well. So this one that I have read, Blood Orange, this is kind of a Dracula retelling set in sort of the modern world in Venice, Italy, which is very, very cool, at a music conservatory school in Italy, which is wonderful. I mean, the whole setting of Venice is fantastic. And this is professor, student. The student is an adult, which we all know I love. Actually, so is Grave Matter. But in this one, we have our main character who is, he in this one, they say he was the inspiration for Bram Stoker to write Dracula. And it's quite funny because weaving through the story, you have him being a little bit disgruntled about the fact that Bram Stoker took a lot of liberties when writing Dracula about his life, and you have people sort of teasing him about it as well. And our main girl, she goes to Venice because she's enrolling to be a student in the academy, but she's also a vampire slayer. Yeah, she's a vampire slayer. So if you like that sort of Buffy, vampire, angel Buffy thing, this one, what I will say, I had a good time. I enjoyed it. I did think, for me personally, there wasn't enough storyline compared to sort of the smutty scenes in it. So I felt like there was a lot of spice, which was good. It was good. Don't get me wrong, I liked it. But I would have liked more of the storyline. I would have liked more of the side characters. I would have liked more of this kind of delving into this witch hunter, vampire slayer thing. I wanted a bit more storyline from this one. It left me wanting for storyline. I'm hoping I'm going to get that in Black Sunshine, because like I say, there's some characters that show up here that I believe are the main characters here. So this one is about a girl who on her 21st birthday is taken by her parents to supposedly a birthday celebration. And actually it turns out her parents are going to kill her because she's a vampire and her parents are vampire hunters. And she's then saved by a sexy vampire. And that's their story, but I'm pretty sure they turn up in this. So maybe read this one first, but this is on my TBR. I cannot wait. And then Grave Matter. I cannot stop going on about this book. This is so good. So this is such a genre blend. So this has got horror. This has got kind of like dystopian, sci-fi, supernatural, dark academia, dark romance, all of the good stuff. It's creepy, it's interesting, and this had so much storyline. I love the storyline, and the spice and the romance is fantastic. It's teacher student again. It's a bit weird. Is she seeing things? Are they really there? Are they not? But it is so good. So for me, this one got the blend absolutely perfect of this really interesting, creepy, weird storyline, talking about the characters, really going into it, but also having that dark romance and that spice in the background. It is phenomenal. I hugely recommend. I cannot wait to read more Karina Halley books. So now you're saying to me, okay, that's great, but let's go a bit darker. I want more serial killers. Yeah, that's what I've been saying to myself lately. I am, side note, I am on a massive serial killer, mafia, romance trip, stalker, serial killers. I blame Haunting Adeline, and we'll get to that because I think that is the darkest of all the books, so we'll get to it last. But ever since reading that, I've kind of lost my mind to it, and I'm loving it, and I never want to come out of this hole. But if we're talking about unhinged, crazy ass, like I said, stalker, serial, all of that good stuff. I'm gonna have to recommend the OG relationship for that. And anybody that is a fan of Harley Quinn or a Joker fan will know that Joker and Harley are the original, unhinged, psychotic, spree-killing power couple. I mean, Bonnie and Clyde probably, but for me, it's Harley. I adore Harley Quinn. Birds of Prey is one of my favorite films of all time, and the first Joker film as well. I won't talk about the second one. But this is Mad Love, and this is kind of Harley and Joker's story, but in like novel form. So it's a novel form of like the comics, and it is fantastic. It is so good. Like I said, Harley is she is so unhinged. So her story actually starts off with, she is a kind of a psychologist within the asylum that the Joker's being kept, and she's actually his therapist, and he goes to her for regular sessions every week, and then she starts to fall for him, which all sorts of ethical and moral and psychological implications there. But and then things go off the deep end. So good. So good. It is my classic favorite unhinged romance. Just divine. If you want something that is unhinged serial killer romance, but also with a lot of laughs, I probably shouldn't have been, although it is meant to be kind of funny. There are so many laughs in this, and this is Butcher and Blackbird by Bryn Weaver. I also have Leather and Luck, which I am dying, excuse the pun, to get to, and I will actually be starting tonight. This is the second book. Again, this is 3 interconnected books where the characters in the second book, Lachlan and Lark, we meet in the first book. Butcher and Blackbird, what is this one about? So, it literally, the tagline is romance, murder, chaos, and that is true. So you have 2 people who are Dexter-style serial killers. Now, if you've watched the TV series Dexter, you'll know he kills the bad people. Okay, so do they. And they're both kind of broken. They both sort of believe that they're unlovable. And they kind of find each other through this wonderful game that they play of they both hunt the same person and see who can get rid of him first. So unhinged, it's so good. And throughout this time that they spend together, and I think this spans like at least a couple of years, maybe a bit more, they develop this really sweet friendship, and then they develop this really sweet romance. And then also towards the end of the book, there is when you think everything's going fine, there is a really great twist, which I love, which obviously won't give away, but it's really, really good. Like I said, it's funny. I actually found it quite heartwarming at times. But it's also very spicy, very good on the spice. And I love the element. I'm not so much one for contemporary romance, but oh my goodness, with this kind of element of this sort of messed up psycho people in it, I love it. So, and cannot wait to read Leather and Luck. So Leather and Luck is the brother of our main character in this one. And his love story so he is he's like an enforcer for the mob. And the main female character in this she's kind of a rock star. But there's also sort of, she's the best friend of our main character, and she knows our main character is a serial killer, and she's absolutely fine with it. So there's darkness there as well. So like I said, cannot wait to read that. Then the Mind F series. Yes, Estiavi. I treated myself to this. I literally just got this. I'm dying. Okay, I really got to stop that joke. To read this, I hope this is good. The amount of money I paid for this wasn't cheap. But it is a bind-up of all 5 books, and this is serial killer, FBI, and it was billed as sort of, if you like, Criminal Minds, which, side note, Criminal Minds, one of my all-time favorite shows. I've watched it many times. I blame Silence of the Lambs because I watched that when I was very young. That's imprinted in me, and I love things like The Bone Collector, anything Kiss the Girls, anything that's like psychological, messed up thrillers like that, but also with that sort of FBI profiler element. I adore it. And I believe in this one, she is the killer, and the FBI profiler is hunting her. And I did like a taste test before I bought it because of the price of this. And I mean, I loved it instantly. I was like, I have to read this. But it starts off where she's kind of I think like in a restaurant, and she meets these 2 guys, and she sort of says to him, oh, you're FBI, you're a profiler, because of like the stuff he says to her. And I feel like we're going to get a lot of that kind of psychological mind games in this as well, which I absolutely love. So cannot wait to read that. Then The other book in that vein is Lovely Bad Things, and this is on my TBR as well. This is by Trisha Wolfe, and again, he's the devil and she's his wicked game. So I believe it's the other way around, that she is FBI and she's profiler. It's either that or she's a lawyer. I can't quite remember, but yeah, criminal scene investigation. No, it is criminal scene investigation, and he is the killer, and she kind of falls. They fall into a relationship. Apparently this is the first book in a series as well. These are apparently phenomenal, so cannot wait to read that. And then 2 more books in that vein that are on my TBR. So There Are No Saints by Sophie Lark. I'm giving Sophie Lark another go. If you saw my Grimstone review, you know I wasn't keen on it because, again, a bit like Blood Orange, there wasn't enough storyline for me. So I'm really hoping this, again, is about 2 serial killers who are both after the same girl. But I really hope that there's spice, but like more storyline in this one. So my second go at Sophie Lark. And then this one, I have to read this. Everybody's talking about this. This is Lights Out by Navessa Allen. This is like the TikTok sensation. The couple who kill together, the couple who slays together stays together. And this reminds me of Butch and Blackbird. I'm not going to lie. I really hope it's like that as well. Everybody says this is absolutely phenomenal. I cannot wait to read it. Then let's go to my final one, which is what kicked all of this off and what have sent me down a dark romance hole that I think I will never come out of, and now nothing else really satisfies. And that is Miss H.D. Carlton. So I have these 4 books here. So we start off with Satan's Affair. That's that one. That is kind of the prequel. Read that one first. Then you have Haunting Adeline, which is the first in the Cat and Mouse duet. You have Hunting Adeline, which is the second in the Cat and Mouse duet. And then we've recently gotten Where's Molly, which is a spin-off of the Cat and Mouse duet. So I haven't read Where's Molly yet. I cannot wait to read it. I have read these. They are dark. This is, we've gone to full midnight. I mean, you can start here like I did. Just dive, go right in there. Go girl. But just know, and actually with all of these books, please check trigger warnings. I do not read trigger warnings. I don't feel comfortable really giving trigger warnings because it's not something that that I feel comfortable. I mean, I could tell you what's in the book, but please just, read trigger warnings. These are dark. This is full midnight, dark, 3 a.m. in the morning. This is about, the Cat and Mouse duet is about Adeline, and she has a stalker in Haunting Adeline, and Z is unhinged, completely and utterly unhinged. He tells her on numerous occasions he is not a good man. He is the devil, and he really is. And his sort of raison d'etre in life, his reason for being is he hunts down and kills people who engage in human trafficking, which is really honorable, I think. I think the man should get a medal, but he's very violent. And there is so much dubious and just no consent in the first book. But their story and the emotions that this took me through is phenomenal. I think if you can handle the darkness, the real darkness, Hunting Adeline, I had to put Hunting Adeline down several times, particularly in the beginning half of the book, because I can't give away what happened. Well, let's just say that the consequences of him hunting human traffickers comes down on Adeline. Okay. So it is hard to read Hunting. I'm telling you, it is hard, but it is so good. And it brought up so many questions. It brought up so many emotions for me. From my own background, things that have, there is so much to unpack for me personally in these books, but I think they're phenomenal. I think they really make you think. I also think you can have the spices off the charts in these. So creative, and so wrong in a lot of ways. It's just a phenomenal series. Satan's Affair I absolutely adore as well. This is actually a great one. I mean, I wouldn't say wait to read it, but it is great around Halloween because it is about a fair that's Halloween themed. And we actually meet Z, our main character in this one. And we also meet Sibby, who then shows up again in Hunting Adeline, by the way, which I love. I love Sibby. And she's completely unhinged. She dresses up as a broken doll. She's in this broken, haunted house. And she says she can sniff the bad people. And she kills the bad men. She is the most unhinged character ever. She's just unhinged in every way possible. She's insane. But I love her. And like I said, she shows up in Hunting as well. This is, for me, top tier. I will definitely reread, particularly Haunting. But it's dark. It is dark, pitch black dark. So that is my list at the moment. I have a lot more that I will be recommending. So see more of this channel for more of these kind of videos. Happy Valentine's Day to everybody. And whether you like it light or dark, get some love or some spice in your life. I'll see you soon. Bye.